Mireya spent her entire life avoiding her brother's way of life, but now she's right in the center of it, playing very innocent. Miguel's criticism of her for dating a man he didn't like went beyond that. He went too far and only gave in when she threatened to harm herself, realizing that if he didn't make amends and act behind her back, he would lose his sister forever. Naturally, she is unaware of this, but given her familiarity with Miguel and Tommy's methods, she finds it unbelievable that they have called a true truce. With egos the size of the Chicago River and cruel inclinations, they are two sides of the same coin. Would they truly sacrifice their goals, which are in direct opposition to one another, for her? I suppose I understand why she would want to believe it when I say it aloud. She would like to assume that the two men she loves so much would also put her ahead of business issues, but onShe can't be making demands of them if she is aware of that, since doing so will only lead to disappointment. Even while it might not happen until the very end of the season, such disappointment is on the horizon. With every hour that goes by, I become more and more certain that Tommy and Mireya will not have a happy ending. However, since that doesn't seem to be the direction this season is taking, they won't be the only ones who don't get to ride off into the sunset. See more, she would be fooling herself if she thought these two could ever live in harmony. A mix of D-Mac, Vic, and Claudia, with D-Mac currently in the lead role, would be the characters I would bet on not surviving. Although D-Mac has always been the worst, something about him in Power Book 4, Season 3 seems to be hitting much harder. He doesn't know when to stop or how to think outside of the streets, and he is quite stubborn. I wonder where he gets that from. He doesn't need to be alive to survive, but it also applies to many others in the greater Power ecosystem. Tommy is there with him. Tommy would stop at nothing to keep his small remaining family safe. However, D-Mac's only desire is to emulate Tommy, Diamond, and Janet. His desire to be revered and feared on the streets would ultimately lead to his death. From the beginning, Diamond's plan to murder D-Mac has been absurd because he could have done it himself. Get him to go somewhere, then kill him. There wouldn't be any witnesses, and with what's going on in the streets right now, you could really blame anyone. In addition to Diamond and Janet consistently underestimating D-Mac, who has occasionally shown that he is not very intelligent, the intricate scheme involving the 9/7s was merely excessively complicated for no apparent purpose. Nevertheless, he will not compromise on anything. I'll give him credit for setting himself up for victory by going into that ambush with all of his ducks in a row. In addition to Diamond and Janet consistently underestimating D-Mac. The dull hour of this show was worth watching for the final 5 minutes. As a snake was shown, Diamond and Janet were stunned, and Tommy finally realized that he was more out of the loop than he ever knew. There were gasps and giggles in my home. 10 out of 10, it was the ideal conclusion. Tommy has always been unpredictable. Even though he could be the smartest person in the room, we've seen him get into some risky situations on multiple occasions due to his emotions. Not to mention that his narcissism frequently prevents him from seeing beyond his narrow perspective. Tommy is so close to achieving his goal of taking over Chicago and controlling the entire city in a manner he was never able to achieve in New York that he doesn't see anything else. His antics thus far this season have done nothing to strengthen the coalition, which is one of the many moving components that will need to work together to get to the finish line. Rather, they have further polarized gangs that have little interest in becoming involved in a cartel conflict. Tommy is not helped at all by gangs leaving the coalition since no one wants to show up like Chavo. Both he and Diamond acknowledged that they are in need of bodies. Nevertheless, Tommy has persisted in pursuing Ortega and advancing his own agenda at every opportunity, which is terrific for him but not so great for everyone else. Rather than upholding and developing that alliance, Tommy has a right to get his lick back, as Ortega has already attempted to murder him multiple times, and I can see why he would seek retribution. But once more, Tommy is only thinking about himself. He has the ability to rise to the top of the food chain. I firmly believe that. However, he won't arrive by himself. At the end of the day, he'll need CBI and others, and these actions aren't exactly winning him over. Even though, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend" seems to be the title of the game at the moment, I have no idea. Tommy's decision to join the Serbs was foolish on paper, and I don't think working with them will be beneficial in the long run because, like all the other gangs, they are opportunistic. But because they both detested Ortega, it worked here. Tommy is the one who kills the man's uncle in order to escalate the situation. That will undoubtedly be favorably received and have no long-term consequences for him or anyone else he is connected to. No way, not. Tommy was attempting to protect Mireya while she was out there making, you guessed it, foolish choices while he wasn't hurling elderly folks off buildings. Other than the fact that I don't think Mireya and Tommy make an incredible power couple, I have nothing against her. Overnight, their connection went from being playful and flirtatious to, I would die for you, and I'm still not impressed. Mireya spent her entire life avoiding her brother's way of life, but now she's right in the center of it,